Welcome back, Caddy Corner, episode 34. I'm Austin.
I'm Caleb.
We're back. It is cold outside, guys.
Yeah, real cold.
It is really cold out there. It's like the first day that it's been awful outside. No way you can see, though. But, man, it's brutal out there. Rainy, cold, gross. Welcome to winter. So, today, we have kind of a different vibe of a show. We've never done anything like this, I don't think.
Yeah, this is definitely the first time.
So we found this article online. I just kind of thought it would be a fun thing to go over and read. The headline of the article here is 10 things everyone gets wrong about Gen Z. Obviously, Caleb and I occupy the Gen Z slot in time in the world here.
Indeed.
So that's important to consider. Also, too, as we looked through this list of things, there's about 8 good points that we think we can talk about and have some good input on. The ones that we're going to skip are millennials and Gen Z are the same thing. I feel like that's a fairly obvious one that you can just Google and find the answer to that. There's no opinions really there. And then also number 10, we're going to skip as well, which is they don't have much money to spend. And I just think that that's a stupid one to talk about as well.
Yeah.
So you got anything else? Oh, also you should like and rate the show and do all of the interactivity stuff. Yeah. But like the video, subscribe, comment. If you're on audio, rate and review the show. We read all of our reviews. Road to 1,000 downloads. We are chasing it down like a pack of wolves. Now, we're going to start here with the very first misconception about Gen Z, which is they don't care about politics. So, Caleb, I will let you take it away and say what you want to say and just have some fun here.
This is a crazy thing that people think about Gen Z, because we are Gen Z and we can vote.
Yeah.
So like maybe 10 years ago, whenever we were 8, then Gen Z probably didn't care about politics. Probably didn't know what politics were. But like most of us are adults now, and we definitely have to care about politics. So I think that that's a pretty crazy thing to think about.
An important thing to read
generation.
too. I didn't mention this. This article was written August 9th, 2022, so it's fairly recent.
Yeah, so
yeah, I agree. I also think it's a crazy thing to suggest that, in the sense that, and it might just be small town, hometown America vibes, but like everybody here that I can, like everybody that we graduated high school with, I feel like does care about politics.
Yeah.
So not even in the sense of just like you should go vote, because that's like a duh one. But I think what it is referring to mostly is the idea that we aren't doing like our research, maybe, is what it's like leaning into.
Yeah.
Which I think is fair. That's a fair thing to say.
Probably.
But everybody is like that.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
I think that's a big reason for a lot of the division in the world is people don't do their research as to what they're actually supporting.
I would completely agree with you there.
So I think that they don't care about politics is just a bad kind of way to think about it. And also, too, like, I actually think that Gen Z takes a lot of that into their own hands, like going and being activists for things that they think are important. And maybe not even in the sense of like the mainstream politics world, but just even like local things, you know. I think that would be more of a Gen Z thing to do than like an older generation thing to do.
And another thing, too, is like social media is full of politics.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And who's that run by?
Exactly.
So
to say that
yeah,
Gen Z doesn't care about politics would be absolutely crazy to think.
It's just kind of like an ignorant thing to think, you know. But I do understand how you can think that. But I think that just a lot of the criticism of that is like, it can be sent across every generation that's ever existed ever.
Yeah.
So, anyways, number 3, this is one that I really will go in on here, is they aren't into brands like their parents. So brands as in like products and stuff like that, obviously. You can go ahead if you want.
Well, I've talked about this on the podcast a little bit, and I'm really big into brand loyalty.
Yeah, me too.
I'm really big on Apple. I'm a big Apple guy. I will never not be an Apple guy for my whole entire life. But I'm also a very big Crest original toothpaste guy.
Yeah.
My brand loyalty with them has been there since pretty much day one. As soon as I figured out how to brush my teeth, that's what I've been using. I actually graduated from Crest Kids.
Yeah.
I went from Crest Kids Original to Crest Adult Original, which is pretty much the same toothpaste.
Yeah.
Especially if you get the gel kind.
Yeah.
So I would completely disagree
whenever
they say that we are not into brands like our parents were. I would also think
Our parents aren't that into brands.
Yeah, I think that brands is like a huge thing, especially in school. Like, this is a bad thing, but like teenagers pay attention to that type of stuff. They pay attention to the type of shirt that you're wearing and the type of shoes that you're wearing, especially the type of leggings that you have on. If they're not Lululemon, then you're not cool, you know?
Yeah.
That's crazy to think.
I also think, too, a big thing with our generation is, like, at least for me, I pay attention to the branding a lot of a company, and I try not to buy products from companies that are, like, that do, like, questionable things behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And so, like, for example, like, I wear pretty much exclusively Patagonia hats, and they, like, send a lot of money back to the environment and stuff like that, and you don't have to care about that, but I care about that. In the sense that it's just something that they're doing that's not like a net negative for the rest of the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so it's just that, you know, the brand that you wear, you also kind of end up getting attached to every aspect of that brand. So like if you wear like Nike shoes, for example, like you have to be okay with somebody saying like those were made in a sweatshop in Southeast Asia somewhere. Like you have to be okay with that. You know what I'm saying? So there's connotation that comes along with that too. And I think that that's something that's very big with us, with our generation is, at least for me, and there's a lot of people that are like this too, is they want to buy from a brand that has like some kind of something else. You know, like I want to buy this shirt because they give a shirt to a underprivileged, you know, whatever, they give back in some kind of way. Mm-hmm. Whereas I don't think that people in other, like older generations are thinking that at all. Yeah. They're just kind of buying the thing. So I don't know. I think that that's a kind of a crazy thing to say in general too, just because like I don't even think of, when I think of my parents' generation, I don't even think that they're into brands really at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And it might just be like, you know, variations and stuff, but I don't know. I would totally push back on that one. So, you know, I just think that brand loyalty, like you said, like you'll never not have an Apple computer for the rest of your life. You're 19. Mm-hmm. You have so much life left, but that decision's already made. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's just crazy. I feel like it's not like that with older generations. Anyway, though. The next one here is they care more about playing on their phones than working hard, which is kind of just a stupid sentence to read. Yeah. But go ahead.
Well, where my brain first goes whenever I hear that sentence there is, see, Gen Z has this crazy opportunity where playing on their phone equals work. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's really all I have to say. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I feel like more people now are taking advantage of that than ever before. Mm-hmm. Like making TikToks or making YouTube videos. If somebody watches you do that, they're like, "Oh, this kid's just playing on their phone." Yeah. You know, but like, you don't know. They might have 1 million followers on TikTok and be making more money than you are. Yeah. You know, so the work is just like so relative. Yeah. Compared to Gen Z and millennials, I guess. That's exactly what I was gonna say. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Even like, what is working hard? Right. What does that mean? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I think that it's just the difference in, like you said it perfectly. Like your phone, you can literally make like unlimited amounts of money from your phone if that's what you're doing. You know? Yeah. Like that's where your life is ran from, and like we've grown up with that understanding and perspective of the world and stuff. And older people haven't. And it's just a crazy thing to say, because that would be the same thing as me saying, like, you go to like the car shop and there's like an old guy, like the owner of the shop is like sitting in the shop doing nothing. And that would be like me, like, you're in a car shop in your full suit, there's nothing to do. And that would be like me saying, working hard over there, aren't you, buddy? It'd be the same thing as that. Yeah. But that's so mean. Right. Because like, why would you say that to somebody else? And like, it doesn't mean anything because like you're at work still, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. And I think that you said it the best, is you just said that working hard is relative. And also that you can do so much from your phone now. It's literally a pocket computer. You can do anything that you need to do on your phone. So, and even just like reading the sentence, they care more about playing on their phone than working hard. That sounds like a super giantly old person would say that. Yeah. Like this, the way that sentence is written. So, but, and I like we can end this one on this point. It's just like, it is all about connecting and making connections and pushing it forward and stuff like that. Like, if you add everybody's screen time up, that's in our generation, it's going to be way higher than any other generation, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Right. So, but also just define what working hard means, and then you'll be able to do okay. They aren't prepared for the business world. Go ahead if you want, but this is a hard one too.
Yeah, it's so tough because like the way that my brain works is like a lot of people that are in my generation, or at least like studying the same things that I'm studying or doing the same things that I'm doing, they're like more prepared for the business world than most other humans.
Mm-hmm.
So like again, I completely disagree. Just because I don't know if it's a Gen Z thing, but whenever somebody in our generation puts their mind to something, I feel like it's kind of like an all-in type deal. And I think it's probably just because we're so young and like there's nothing to lose right now. But I know a ton of people who have done so much research on business.
Yeah.
Just because maybe they want to own a business one day, or maybe they just want to know more about it. You know, and we have the resources to be able to do that. Like I have this laptop here, I have this iPad here, I have a phone in my pocket, you know, all these things that can help me
learn anything.
Exactly. So like aren't prepared for the business world. Like I'm just as prepared as I could be if I wanted to be, you know? So I disagree.
And also too, this is a similar thing to the first one, is what is the business world? Do you mean that we're not prepared to go and work 40 hours,
trade stocks? Or
do you mean that we're not prepared to go work in an office building?
Right.
You're right. We're not, because we've never been in one before.
Yeah.
So, you know, and you made a good point too, is like we have unlimited access to resources, and everybody does. But like our understanding of this, like the internet and that type of world, is just better than other people's. And the point that you made too, which I think is good, is that there's so much access, and at least, and it depends on what you're on here, but like my TikTok, a lot of it is that type of world, like like businessy type vibes and that kind of thing. And like I can literally see it everywhere, because TikTok's everywhere. YouTube is the same thing. Like the internet is there. So it's just maybe, like, sure, maybe some of them aren't prepared for the business world, which is fair enough. But like, number one, you can't get prepared for anything unless you either experience it or do like extensive amounts of research on it. And one day you weren't prepared for the business world either, and then you figured it out.
Right.
So that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
What is the complaint here? It's crazy. So number 6 here is that they prefer a digital lifestyle to physical possessions. So this, I feel like, is kind of an interesting one, which is like the example that they use here is that using things like the NFTs and the metaverse and stuff like that. Basically, that we're prioritizing that over like physical possessions, which I would disagree with fairly massively.
Yeah.
Mostly because it is too soon for those things to be mainstream enough for everybody to have access.
Yeah.
NFTs are still like so much money, and the metaverse, as far as I'm concerned, really isn't real yet. But I wouldn't say that I prefer a digital lifestyle to physical possessions, but I'm definitely interested in the metaverse and NFTs.
Well, this right here, I'm getting a little confused because it says growing up in a time of financial uncertainty means they like to save money and dream of owning their own home in the future. As we wrote in our U.S. Youth Trends Report in 2022, 83% of 16 to 24-year-olds say that owning a home is important to them, which, if I'm not mistaken, 83% is a majority.
Yeah.
And a home is definitely a physical possession.
I think that the underneath the numbers though is like them explaining why it's a misconception. But I understand what you're saying. Like that's them like breaking down.
Okay. Yeah. That is the
Yeah.
Never mind.
No. But what you're saying is like true though, because it's like that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like I'm surprised it's not higher than that.
Yeah, I would assume that it would be higher than that. That is definitely important to me one day.
But I just mean like I could see this being the truth in like 25 years. It's just too soon right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to push back super hard on this because I think that NFTs are pretty cool, and I think the metaverse is interesting. But we don't even know what that's going to be in 6 months.
Yeah, it might not be anything.
It might not be anything. So
right.
yeah, this one we can talk for like forever about, I feel like. But their idols are just famous for being famous, and the example that they use is Emma Chamberlain, which I think is a crazy example of that. But you can go ahead if you want.
Man. there's no such thing as
just famous for being famous.
That is a
means nothing.
Right.
It literally means nothing.
That doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't really know exactly where I'm going to go here, but you can't just become famous from being famous.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do something that makes you famous first, and usually that means that you make something that other people enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a totally reasonable thing to become famous for.
Yeah. Agreed.
And so if you want to idolize working hard to create something that people enjoy, then that is a totally reasonable thing. Especially Emma Chamberlain,
mm-hmm.
because she doesn't just do nothing. She's a creator,
mm-hmm.
and now she owns a coffee company,
mm-hmm.
and
she literally makes videos for Vogue.
Yeah. So, yeah, she's just famous for being famous, I guess.
Yeah.
But
well, this is my thing. This is the direction that I'm taking it in. Is that what are the Kardashians? They're famous for being famous.
That is true.
So, but I just mean, let's say that you are just famous for being famous. I'm actually writing a paper right now about YouTube, like the lifestyle genre of YouTube. So that's why this is like an interesting one for me. But like one of the arguments that I've made is that the reason why people like lifestyle creators that are famous for being famous, like your Emma Chamberlains or your Casey Neistats or your whatever, the reason why people like them is because it's like watching a reality show, but it's actually real.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? This is a real life that's not scripted.
Yeah.
And in Emma Chamberlain's case, like her videos are kind of like, it's a show about nothing. It's a show about her life, but it's a show about nothing. And people like the fact that you can watch somebody's real life on the internet and relate or not relate or admire or whatever. Now, in our case, we idolize like YouTubers and creators mostly because we take a lot of inspiration from them, but that's because we make the videos. There are also people who just watch Emma Chamberlain videos because they wish that they were Emma Chamberlain's friend, and that's fine, you know?
Yeah.
And the reason why it's fine is because you're much more likely to become Emma Chamberlain's friend than Kim Kardashian's friend. So idolizing somebody who's famous just for being famous doesn't make any sense, because everybody that's famous is just famous for being famous. The reason why anybody cares that Drake is anybody is because he's been hyped up over the years, and he makes music too, which is cool, but like that's probably not, I guess it is what most people know him as, but like if you see Drake, you're not going to ask him to like sing you a song. You're going to ask him to take a selfie with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know. It's just an interesting thing. Fame is a weird thing, and I just think that that's a weird way of thinking about it, especially because the generation above us has got the Kardashians, which I feel like is the best example of that ever.
Yeah.
So number 8 here is they don't like socializing in person. So I have a good answer for this one.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I think that this is just like a really terrible take because we had the biggest social impact through COVID. We actively had to do like full-on school, which is where a lot of kids, especially high school kids, get like most of their social interaction. You know, you're 40 hours a week at high school with the same people every day for an entire year. That's where a lot of people's socialization is, especially like in high school and middle school or whatever. And we all did our Zoom, and that was like, ugh. Like, I don't think anybody in our generation is like, you know what we should do every day? Zoom.
Yeah, or FaceTime.
Yeah. Now, do we just text each other a lot? Yes. But welcome to the real world.
Yeah.
Do we FaceTime each other a lot? Yes, it happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that is done. So I think, but I would very much push back on that just because we went through the pandemic and had to do everything virtually, and I don't think we'll ever be able to want to do that again.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
That'll be to our detriment probably. We're like another thing will happen where we'll have to all be locked down, and then we're just gonna like dread it. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be like PTSD flashbacks for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
I would totally agree. That is such like a bold statement saying that we don't like socializing in person.
Yeah.
Just because we text doesn't mean that whenever it comes to like me and you sitting here at this table having a conversation right now, I would not rather do this over the cell phone.
No way.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like just because we use a resource that we have to where we can share information instantly instead of waiting until I see somebody to tell them whatever, like now I can just text them like, oh my goodness, sue me for that, you know?
Yeah.
That just doesn't make any sense to me,
And
really.
exactly. It's just using your tools, But yeah, I don't know. I think that's just a terrible take. Do you remember like during the pandemic, whenever people would have like they'd get like all their friends on Zoom and they would just like hang out and talk to each other? Like that was something that like we did, but like we never want to do that again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
would be a nightmare.
Definitely.
That would suck so bad. So
And that is also not even saying that there are some people that I would rather text than talk to in person.
Yeah.
Because there are definitely people like that.
Yeah.
But like, I guess the people like that in the millennials generation, they just don't speak to at all.
yeah,
Which
whatever.
I guess it's like kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's a weird thing to say
Yeah.
about a generation.
For sure. Especially because, like, I would say the only reason why that would ever have been true is because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All right, so this is the last one that we're going to talk about here, is they don't watch TV. Now, I will speak for my own sake here. Not counting streaming services and stuff, I don't watch TV.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, I don't really, except for sports. I don't watch anything outside of. Now, if you do count, like, streaming services and stuff as TV, like your Netflixes and your Hulus and whatever, then I guess I watch TV sometimes, but I mostly watch YouTube for me personally.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, I watch my fair share of Netflix, but if they're not counting Netflixes, then I really don't watch TV. But I think that maybe they are counting streaming services as TV.
Well, then, yes, I do watch TV.
Yeah, I do as well. But, like, if you're talking about television, like, who watches the television?
Outside of sporting events, none.
Because who wants to
Watch commercials.
Exactly.
That's what it is for me.
Commercials are awful.
It literally adds 10 minutes to the program.
Yeah.
I just don't have 10 minutes to just give away like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I don't really care about the products that they sell on commercials either.
No.
Most of the time.
I definitely don't care about the actual show enough to watch the commercials through.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I actually don't think this is that bad of a take, though, because a lot of people are mostly just watching, like, online content, like your YouTubes and your TikToks and stuff like that. So
yeah, I mean, I think that I would agree with this kind of.
Yeah. I would like definitely we watch Netflix and stuff less than anybody else. Even streaming services. I would say our generation watches like your Netflixes and stuff like that less than millennials or any other generation probably. Because our generation is kind of the only one, maybe like younger millennials too, that like defaults to YouTube. I default to YouTube for everything. If I need to learn something quickly, I go to YouTube. I don't even Google it.
Yeah.
I just go to YouTube instead.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a strange, a weird thing that is just happening. But I don't know. This was a good take generally, I think. It just depends on if you think streaming services are TV or not.
Yeah. From the article, they're saying that Netflix is TV.
Yeah.
And then they say
Which I would personally push back on that.
That Stranger Things brought Netflix's subscriber count to 158.33 million people, which a majority of those were probably Gen Zs.
Yeah, Stranger Things is very popular among. It's also popular among the older people too, though.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you would.
It just depends on
count,
it just depends on if you would
Netflix or not.
It just depends on if you would. I don't know.
So you would say that you don't count Netflix as TV?
I don't think so. No, I don't think
it's
so.
such a hard thing because like they have TV shows, which are the only reason why I think that they would count it as TV, just because they put like series, like TV series on there. If it was just a movie streaming service, I would say it's probably not TV.
Yeah.
Just because most people go or like used to buy DVDs to watch movies.
I think to me, what would make it TV is if it had commercials. So Hulu, I guess, could be like TV.
Yeah, or like Amazon Prime.
Yeah, because it has ads. Because those experiences are much worse than Disney Plus or Netflix because of the ads.
Yeah.
Which you know what you sign up for. But Netflix, I would definitely push back on. Because, like, let's say that we made a Stranger Things length series and put it on YouTube. Does that make sense? Like a 6-part series of 45 minutes each. Does that make that a TV show because it's the same format? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would say it does not.
Right. So, but like in Netflix's case, it is. So it's weird.
But maybe it's like not though. Like maybe Stranger Things is not a TV show. Maybe it's just the shows that have been brought onto Netflix that aired on TV.
I get that.
Count as TV shows. But then, I don't know.
We can get into the rabbit hole for sure on this.
Yeah, we definitely could.
Okay, so after going through that article and stuff, definitely had their fair share of misconceptions. There's definitely tons. I think that Gen Z gets scrutinized hardcore, which is unjust for sure. Definitely biased, but I happen to think it's the greatest generation that there will be, at least immediately.
Indeed.
I think so. But I was wondering if you have any like things to kind of leave it on, and maybe just like, I don't know. We can talk a bit about it here and just kind of think about it a lot. And I think about it all the time because I think, like I said, it gets scrutinized a lot. Gen Z does.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that sucks. And I think that saying why we could be like one of the best generations ever would be important. And I have some takes. And I think that one of the reasons why we can be like one of the best generations ever is because we are like technology literate straight away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I literally had like computers in elementary school that we would use all the time.
Yeah, they taught us that in school.
And that's like a key, thing where, I'm 20 and I can use every computer I've ever seen in my life, and I have no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
Technology literacy is something that is like very real because everything is done with technology now. And I think that us just naturally knowing that is very impactful for how useful and stuff we can be. And I also think Gary Vee said this on one of the Impulsive podcasts, which I thought was smart. It was his Impulsive episode. He said that Gen Z is like so good at making businesses and starting something on their own because they're not willing to like settle at like a crappy job and just like live with it for 35 years.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Because that's not something that at least for me, like that's not something that I would want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I would not want to settle for 30 years at the same, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially if it sucked. And I just think that those are interesting takes because like there's definitely, and this is the thing too, there's definitely a lot of bad apples like in the Gen Z generation and stuff. But there's bad apples in every generation.
Every single one.
And my thing too is let's say that the percentage of bad apples is higher than other generations. That's fine because I think that there's a lot of like world changers in the generation too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. Because like you go through this list and like, yeah, there are definitely people who don't care about politics and definitely ones who aren't into brands or play on their phones.
Yeah.
You know, like there are definitely people in our generation that do all these things and these conceptions are true about them. But like a majority of us, I would say, maybe not, but there's a good bit that are in it to win it.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
And I also think too that it's more accessible than ever before. Like there's more information out there, there's more answers out there, there's more opportunities out there just because of like this. Like it's like another dimension that we have access to that really no other generation has like properly had for the full extent of their life. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's just important to consider is especially if you're outright, like if you fall into Gen Z too, is like don't take the opportunities that you have by being technology literate and understanding social media and knowing how to use Canva because you just know how to use Canva. Like don't undervalue those opportunities and skills because like something that a lot of people don't know. Like I know how to edit videos. Do you know how many people know how to edit videos in the whole world that are outside of our generation? Not a ton.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like obviously there's a lot, but less than you would think because it's like a digital creative skill that's not something that you can really learn out of a book. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing with every aspect of this. So that's kind of the message that I really wanted to paint in this episode is, especially for Gen Z, is like you're going to be scrutinized because we're kind of at the bottom of the totem pole right now because we're all like 22 or 16 or whatever. So like people that are above us are going to give us a hard time because we don't grow up the same way that they grew up, which isn't going to happen for anybody. There's no way two generations back to back will grow up the exact same. So you're just going to have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also just don't take your opportunities for granted and don't let people like scrutinizing you like put you off because it's okay. Who cares? Like just prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Do something cool. Because you have unlimited opportunities. And I think something that you said this earlier and you said that because like people that are like doing research on business and stuff like that because they're interested. And there's a TikTok sound that I've been seeing a lot on my For You page, which is like the biggest lie that you get told being like 18, 19, 20, 21 is that those are going to be like the most fun years of your whole life. And that's whenever you're supposed to have all of your fun for your entire life. Like that's it. And in reality, you shouldn't do that because during those years you have nothing to do. There's no responsibility. There's no anything. And so you can be hyper focused on one thing and learn become like a beast at something if you so choose. It all depends on how you use your time. And I think that's a very like interesting, I'm sure it's a podcast quote from somewhere, but I was like, that's super smart because that's exactly what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like the reason why we've been able to make 34, 35, whatever podcast episodes is because we're hyper focused on it.
Yeah.
And because we're 20 and 19, like, we don't have a ton of outside noise that's distracting us from it. So I think that's interesting too. So
yeah, definitely.
Just don't take your time for granted either. And don't take the idea that you have to do everything. Like just go at pace, pick something, get really good at it, and prove them all wrong. Have a little fun, you know?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I think that's it for this one. Cool. This was kind of a fun vibe. If there's other articles that you guys... also, too, the article was by... I don't think we said this at the beginning. The article is by Voxburner. Pretty good article if you want to give it the read. And I've never really read anything from them before, but it's not like a super ugly website either, so definitely check that out. We might link it. We might not if we remember or not. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening, watching, viewing, subscribing, all that stuff. Make sure to like, comment, share the podcast around if you're on the video. Also share it around if you're on audio. And while you're there, rate and review the show too. We do this show every Friday, and it's kind of more informative, lifestyle, young adult vibes, informative, kind of like this. We do it every week. And then we also do a show called After Hours, which is audio only. It is done every Wednesday, and it is just a vibe. So step on in.
Indeed.
Step on into either of those shows and follow us everywhere and listen every single week because we have only missed one upload ever. So
that is true.
With that being said, I'm Austin. He's Caleb. We will see you guys next week.
Peace.
Peace.